Okay, so I have three watches here, and this is to compare the difference between a replica and a gin. Um, these are all the same model. It's the Omega Seamaster Professional Planet Ocean 45.5 millimeter with the stainless steel band and the orange numbering. And on the left, you have a UPO, which is the Ultimate Planet Ocean version 1 from Trusty Time. In the center, you have a UPO Ultimate Planet Ocean version 5 from Trusty Time. And then on the right, we have a Omega Gin. And you know, I kind of want to go through and give you a good video on the movement so you can actually see the second hand and how it sweeps, and see if you can tell a difference between a gin and the replicas. The one on the left, the version 1, it is not a Swiss movement. It is the base movement, and the one in the center is the Swiss movement. And then of course you have the gin movement. They sweep the same to me. I've looked at them as close as I possibly can to try and compare the difference. I don't see a difference in the way they tick. They're very, very, very close, if not identical. I believe that the Swiss movement in the center probably is the same beats per minute as the gin, and the version 1, being that it's not the Swiss movement, it's probably not the same. But I bought that 3 or 4 years ago. I can't remember if I got the 28 or 33. I think the 33 is what the gin is. 33,000 beats per minute, I think it is. I can't remember what it is. All I know is I've had the watch for 3 or 4 years. It looks like it ticks the same to me, and it's very accurate. All three of these watches are accurate. They may gain or lose a minute a week. But even the gin, I have to adjust it every now and then. I've had the watch on the left for 3 or 4 years, like I said. I bought the replica version 5, the one in the center, and the gin about the same time period, within the same week. And that was probably about 2 months ago. And I can't tell a difference in the way it keeps time. I bought the gin because they had a really good sale, because they're pulling this particular model because they came out with a new version. It's more expensive. Yes, it's better. It has more features. It has a glass back on it, a better bezel, and whatnot. But I've always liked this exact same model. So I went ahead and bought a gin while I could, before Omega pulled them all and I didn't have the option to do so. I actually alternate these watches. Depends on where I'm going, what I'm doing. If there's a risk of damaging my watch, working on cars, doing some work around the house, whatnot, I will not wear the gin, obviously. If I'm wearing it to work and I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt, I'll wear the gin so that it protects it. If I'm wearing a short sleeve, I wear one of the replicas, which kind of doesn't make sense because you don't see the gin because it's covered by a sleeve. But I like to keep it in good shape, and typically I'll wear the one in the center, which is the replica version 5, because it's so accurate and so close to the gin, it's hard to tell the difference. But being that it was only 350 bucks, if something happened to that, I wouldn't feel near as bad if something happened to my gin. And then the version 1, I think it was 250, maybe somewhere in that range, maybe 280. Like I said, it was 3-4 years ago. I can't recall, but you know, if this is the type of watch you like, these are very, very good watches, very close to the actual gin. I highly recommend Trusty Time. I've had very good luck with him. He is quick to respond to email, got everything as he promised. He'll actually send you pictures of the watch before he ships it, of your actual watch with your name on the sticker, so you know that's what you're going to get and that's what you should be looking for in the mail. I don't see how he could improve his customer service. It was top notch. Response to email was very quick, which I'm pretty picky about, because if something shows up and something's damaged, I want somebody to be able to reply to me right away. A couple other people I dealt with trying to get price quotes, it took like a week for me to hear back from them. I understand somebody's busy, but anyway, Trusty Time was very, very good. Um, so going over the actual details of the watch and the differences I see, um, starting on the left-hand side, uh, it has a kind of dim-looking orange tint to the numbers as opposed to the other two. It may be kind of hard to see that in the video, but it is dimmer, it is dull. It is the oldest watch, but I don't think that should fade. I don't think that there's any kind of UV rays I don't leave out in the sun or anything. Um, but that's one thing that's a dead giveaway on which one I'm picking up since I have all three of these. The other way I tell the difference between the gin and the both of the replicas is if you look at the gem on the bezel on the actual Omega Gin watch, it's centered within that silver triangle. On the replicas, it's closer to the crystal. It's actually touching that line that the triangle is bored within. So that to me is the quick dead giveaway on which one is a replica and which one's a gin. The other thing, I don't know if you can see it in the video, every single angle, every time I look at the gin, the crystal is just very, very clear. You don't get any kind of reflection. There's more contrast and detail to the face. The black looks blacker on the dial. The silver looks more silver on the hands. And the Loom is definitely much brighter. Now, this is a side-by-side comparison. That being said, I'm not worried about anybody calling me out when I wear, especially the version 5 replica, because unless they're wearing the exact same watch and we put them side by side, they're not probably going to be able to tell the difference between a gin and a replica. So, you know, the replicas have gotten very good to the point where you almost want to think, is it really worth buying the real watch? Just considering how close they are. Now, I'm sure the real watch is probably built better. It'll last longer, and it's something you can pass on to your kids and whatnot. But anyway, and I'm kind of giving you a chance right here as I ramble about, just so you can look at the sweep of the movement. And these have 45.5 millimeter dials, so that's actually a fairly large dial. And as you can see, the second hand is just about all the way to the edge of that dial. So the larger the second hand, the more you can actually tell the sweep on the second hand, as opposed to a short, small dial like something on the Panerai that's got the very, very small little dials on the side. And you can see that the orange on the second hand on the Gin is much, much brighter than the other two. In fact, it's brighter than the numbers. It's a bright fluorescent orange. It looks to me like the second hand needle, the tip of it is painted with the same orange on the replicas as the numbers are. On the Gin, that's not the case. The second hand is brighter. So that's another thing you can kind of tell. The version 5, the one in the center, it has a bunch of upgrades. I mean, I'm not really into the watches. I just like this particular watch, and I'll read on the forums when it's about time to buy a new one. But I don't really keep up with it as much as I would like to because I'm too busy. But one thing that you can tell is if you look at the emblem, the Omega emblem, the version 5, they say has the correct Omega symbol right there underneath the 12, which being that it's 8 o'clock, it's kind of hard to see. It's partially covered, but the one in the center does not have what they call happy feet, which means the end of the feet at the bottom of the symbol kind of curve up. The version 1 definitely does. You can tell by looking at it, they definitely curve up. The version 5 in the middle is very, very close to the Gin on the far right. I mean, these are very, very small details, but when I was buying the watch, it's one thing I read. It's the non-happy feet version, because it's the version 5. I can't tell a difference, really, looking at the bezels. For the most part, if you look really, really close, you can see that maybe the numbers, like the fonts, may be a little bit different. I'm just looking at the 30 at the bottom of the dials, and the gin does look a little different. Like there's the 3 on the 30 on the bezel, maybe just a little bit thinner or more defined. It kind of almost looks sloppy on the gins. And I hate to say sloppy because it's not, but just looking at it closer, it doesn't look like it's as defined as it is on the gin. And that's kind of how the whole watch goes. I mean, every little teeny tiny detail is just a little bit better on the gin. Um, but that being said, I'm not trying to badmouth the gin or Trusty Time or anybody that sells this product. They're very, very close. It's very hard to tell the difference, and you have to put them side by side to actually be able to tell the difference. So I'll go ahead and flip over the watches so you can see the back side. I think we've seen the face enough. I really don't have anything else to say about the face. Like I said, I'm not really too much into the technical details of it. I just like the watch. So I'll flip over the version 1 and the version 5 and the gin. Okay, let's go ahead and turn the bands. I don't want to bang them together. Hopefully that's centered. Okay, so these two bands are identical. They may be something a little bit different because I probably have a different link in each one. Because I do have them kind of sized differently. You can see that this one does not have the half link in it. This one does, and actually this one does too. These bands may be the same then. You can see a little bit more silver in the band. It's kind of hard to explain, but these two are a little bit duller. Just if you look at the crest of the reflection. I mean, I'm getting very picky, but I'm just trying to tell you the differences I have seen in the watches. I do have on all 3 of them, on the clasp, I have a clear vinyl I put on there, and I just have this big, huge roll of clear vinyl. So I cut some out with some scissors and put it on there. It's essentially a clear bra to keep the scuffing and marks from showing up on the band. And then on the center pieces of the links, I actually put little squares of the clear vinyl on there too. You probably can't see on the camera, but which is a good thing. That's kind of the idea, is that you don't really see the clear vinyl. You may be able to see it right here on the clasp. That's probably where I see it the most defined. But looking at the clasp, one thing I can tell a difference side by side, once again, is these two are a little bit less defined than the gin. The gin looks more crisp, more laser cut, or just more like it has more contrast and definition to the way the letters are cut, to where it sticks out a little bit more. It's really hard to tell the difference, but side by side you can kind of see it, and you may be able to see it on the video, I'm not sure. But it's very, very close. The other thing I've noticed is on the gin, maybe hard to see, the white background, well, silverish background behind the Seamaster is kind of whiter, like it has more texture to it. It probably has more cuts in it, which would give it more of like a sandy look. That there's more contrast and definition between the lettering of Seamaster and the actual sea monster himself. It just kind of sticks out a little bit more on the gin as opposed to the replicas. Now, when you look at the replicas, they look really good. You know, the emblem on the back looks great. I mean, you can barely tell a difference. It's just I'm trying to get picky, and I'm not professional or anything, but just looking at them side by side, that's the difference I see, is that you can see a little bit of a difference on the background of the Seamaster. And same thing on the version 1. In fact, I think the version 1 and the version 5 are the same on the backing. I don't think there's a difference. I mean, I don't really see a difference. But I could be wrong. I don't really keep up with all the differences between the versions. But I have not got any of the 3 watches wet, actually. I have been told that the replicas are sealed. I wouldn't go diving in them, maybe, without getting them checked to make sure that they are. But, you know, supposedly they do have the actual seals that they're supposed to, as long as the crown's screwed down, you should be good. I haven't got the real watch wet either. It's just, I don't swim with the watches, and I don't, shower or bathe or anything else with them, so I just never got them wet. Other than, washing my hands at the sink or whatnot. So, okay, there is one more thing I need to go over, and that is the loom. The loom is a big difference between the replicas and the gin. I'll go ahead and charge them up with this flashlight I have here. Try and get them evenly spread across them so it's all fair. Okay. As you can see, well, hopefully you can see in the video, the gin is much brighter. I can tell when I go out to a restaurant or whatnot, I go inside and the thing is just glowing like crazy. Replicas don't do that. Let me go ahead and turn off the studio lights right here. So we still have an overhead light on. I don't know how that's turned out in the video, but there's definitely a big difference between the replicas and the gin. The gin is much brighter, a lot more glow to it, a lot more contrast. You can actually read the face. I mean, I do have an overhead light on still, so it is kind of an ambient light. It's not pitch black, but there's a big difference. A lot of people will get the dials reloomed, or they'll actually put a gin dial in there so that it glows much more. But if you do that, you really need to include the hands also. So anyway, I just kind of want to show what the difference is on the loom, because that's one thing a lot of people will talk about. It's not something you're going to be able to or get called out on if your loom's not bright enough, because nobody's going to really be able to tell. But that is something I wanted to go over, and I forgot to add that.